Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Think Business Live. Looking forward to talking with Steve Griggs. Steve, it's great to connect with you. Steve Griggs Design, SteveGriggsDesign.com. Quickly on your bio, we're going to talk a lot about design today. You're not an average designer. You're a visionary that transforms ordinary outdoor spaces into extraordinary masterpieces. We'll get into more detail on what and who you do that for throughout our time together. But I want to get started, Steve, as a business coach, and you've been doing this for a long time. As a business coach, I work with successful people who are stuck. I get them unstuck. And as a business person, where have you seen your biggest stuck in business, and how did you get unstuck?
Simple, John. Thanks for being here. I'm glad to be here. I'm my own worst enemy. I'm sure you've heard that 1,000 times.
Yeah.
I mean, by far, I will screw up anything if you get me involved.
Yeah.
Highly impatient. I'm working on that. You know, I'm from New York, so we expect things done fast, quick. It just doesn't move quick enough, right? That's just my personality as well. How did I get unstuck? I'm still kind of like, it's an everyday event.
Yeah.
It's not, oh, I'm unstuck and now I'm cured. No, it's a struggle every day.
Yeah.
By far.
Yeah.
So,
you know, I work with a lot of clients like yourself. And, you know, I think one of the things that I always recommend to them is making sure that you almost carve time out in your calendar to recalibrate through the day to kind of reset the cadence, right? And so that way, if you make it part of your day, you're not resisting it. You make it part of the flow of your day, you know, so you can kind of catch up to yourself a little bit. So I actually have clients who have in their calendar time to recalibrate, 5 minutes here, 1 minute here, et cetera, et cetera. So, but I think a lot of people struggle with that. And I think recalibrating is definitely something to think about. But I appreciate you sharing that. You know, if you look at, for example, one thing in your business where your impatience has been a benefit, right, and helped you accelerate and scale your business. What's that one place it's helped you?
That was a good tip you gave to kind of recalibrate. The one tip, so growing up, I guess they call it ADD, right? Like whatever they call it, but that's just, so I try to me now, that's my superpower for sure.
Yeah.
I will work circles around anyone. I'm 64 and I will go. So I try to use that to my advantage because it's in New York. We're in New York. People are very impatient. It appears everybody's kind of chill and laid back. And if I was chill and laid back, I wouldn't be on this podcast with you now.
All right, good. Right. Well, just, you really kind of surrender to your strength and let it work for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love that. All right. So let's talk about your business, right? So you got decades of experience. You got a really keen eye for detail. You become one of New York's premier landscape designers, elevating homes and luxury communities, urban spaces, et cetera, et cetera. Let's just rewind that for a minute and talk about the feeling of tranquility. I've seen some of your work, and it's just kind of surrendering to a breath, right? It's like, I feel like in a way you create this sanctuary for people to just take a deep breath. And so I just wanted to, that's my perception as I look at some of your work. But where does the passion come from to do this type of work? And what are you hoping your clients get from your work?
I mean, it's so doing this 40 years residential, you've been in a lot of homes, dealt with a lot of families, a lot of clients. I've done 2 or 3 homes. They've moved. I've done their second, third home. I think the biggest, you're basically creating because your home is your space, right? That's right. In this crazy world ever since even before COVID, but now it's even more like it's your space, it's your sanctuary. So you really want to design it like it's your own space, right? And then a couple of biggest thrills you get is like a client didn't know how to swim till I put a pool in, then he knows how to swim at 50 years old. So those are the kind of joy that you get from it, right? Because when I'm gone, when I leave, I'm kind of like, you can call me with questions, but like you really have to live in the space and you create memories in that space.
Yeah. Where do you find your space? What's your space that you can kind of do your best thinking and creative thinking, and how does that channel through you?
I mean, I have a nice backyard, but it's not over the top. I'm like the shoemaker, right? As they
Yeah.
say, the shoemaker. I mean, we got the fire pit, the hot tub. You have nice things, but where do I get my serenity from at times?
Yeah. Where do you get your serenity to kind of get ideas and
Love the fire pit. Love the night fire pit for
Yeah.
sure. And I also have a wood burning one. Throw some logs in there.
Yeah.
I'm outside with the dogs. Like I have 2 labs. I'm outside with the dogs and I just sit out there at night. My wife thinks I'm crazy, but it's freezing cold, but I don't know. It's invigorating.
Yeah. Yeah. I miss, we have a fire pit in our backyard, but I miss a real fire. That is something I don't have in my house that I miss a lot. All right, let me ask you a question. I want to do a mini business course with you because you've been in business 40 years and you've been through a lot of cycles in business and you've got a lot of wisdom and experience. If you had to extract 3 things to share with people on what it takes to have a business for 40 years, what would those 3 things be, starting with number 1?
Do what you say you're going to do when you're going to say you're going to do it.
Yeah.
Period. That's
Period,
one.
yeah.
That's 1, 2, and 3 by far.
1, 2, and 3. All right. Well, let's pretend it's just 1.
Okay.
But I agree with you. That is 1, 2, 3 through 10.
Nobody wants to hear your stories. Nobody. Everybody has problems. They don't want to hear. They don't want to hear you delayed. They don't care about that, especially in New York.
Right.
So they expect things done on time, on budget, and on schedule. Right. So I mean, maybe that's number 2. And number 3 is just never give up. Like, oh my God. I mean, I had my cars repossessed with two baby seats in the car in 2008. Like I'll never forget. That is ingrained. When they came up, they knocked on the door, 3 o'clock in the morning. They said, "I'm sorry, Mr. Griggs, but you haven't, And I said, "Can I get the car seats out?" I mean, man, it is like yesterday. Right. So that is definitely ingrained in the head.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I appreciate that story. And, you're sitting here, it's 2008. 2008 was a very tough year. I took over, I was in commercial real estate at that time, and I was an agent, and I took over my office August 4th of 2008, and the market crashed in September. And whoa, the world really transformed. And so, and it was tough. But, so 2008 seems like a long time ago, but it also was not a long time ago. And so when you look, I want to do a little mini life course. When you look at the life lessons that in 2008, having your car possessed, amongst maybe other things that were going on, what were some of the lessons you learned coming out of 2008?
My father was a union construction worker for 50 years in New York City, worked for the union. And I remember growing up, there'd be times when he would get laid off, when the economy went down back in the 70s in New York City, and he would get laid off. And while that low time, he would get a hot dog truck. He would trim bushes. Don't forget, with 5 kids and a mortgage, he basically had to do whatever it took to make it happen. And I guess that's kind of in my head. I just had to do whatever. And by doing the right thing all those years for those old clients, I was able to go back to them and do a little bit of something just to keep something going. So, so definitely nurture the forest, nurture the garden that you've tilled over these years by doing a good job. And you can always go back to that well.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing you say is hustle. It's just like the constant hustle and grit.
I mean, get married, have a couple kids, get a mortgage, and that'll make you hustle. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like,
What's one, just to end this, what's one lesson that you would say, wow, that lesson, I wish I knew 20 years ago?
Wow. I wish that there was podcasts like this 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I wish there was, I would have saved so much pain and suffering
Yeah.
I mean, by far, because you can just jump on a podcast like this, learn some business techniques, take it out into the real world. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. How did you know? Thanks for that. How did you know that this was your path? How did you know that this was your path? To that point, like, you had to figure stuff out on your own. You didn't have the podcast, you know, how did you know? I think a lot of people right now are in this space where they're trying to figure out what's next. A lot of kids, you were telling me before your boy just graduated. A lot of young adults who are in college are so anxious that they want, what they're going to do and where they're going to be. And I don't think I felt that anxious as the kids today feel. So
I mean, I see it. It's like, dude, chill out. Like, you're only
Right.
going to go through this, like, you're 20 years old. Like, you got to
Yeah.
be kidding me. I guess when you get out of college and start real working, whenever that is, it's just a grind. So you might as well enjoy it, relax, and take your time and pick the right job.
Yeah.
What are you so anxious for, right? And I think everybody, I'll be very transparent, should do manual labor for a couple of summers.
Yeah.
For sure. You will get mad respect for those guys that are out there in the heat and the cold, and you will appreciate, working on a computer or working in an office as opposed to manually digging. That will straighten you out in school so you can continue to do your education and get that out of the way.
Yeah. So speaking of that, let's talk about your book. Best-selling author, Straight Dirt, New York City's premier designer, tells it like it is, right? I mean, so what is the reader going to get from your book?
Again, I wasn't a straight A student. I figured, the publisher came up with an idea for a coffee table book. You want to become the authority in the space. So the book was the fastest and best way. And the book is basically a lot of short stories, quick tips, a lot of photos of jobs I've done over the 30 years. Nobody really wants to read anymore. Nobody wants to sit and read an 800-page book. So it has a lot of nice pictures in it and some good stories with some clients over the years.
Yeah. Yeah. People don't read, they skim. It's a changing world, and getting the message out, getting a message and is really important to make it clean and concise. So I just want to talk about, your line, which is tell it like it is. How do you tell it like it is in today's world? Because today's world is different than 10 years ago or 5 years ago.
That's I get a lot of pushback from that a little bit. Well, when you see a client and they're trying to tell you one way, I have to be transparent and tell them the truth.
Yeah.
Nobody tells the truth. Like, you just tell the truth. Like,
yeah.
It's not going to work. It's going to look terrible. It's going to cost a fortune. Whatever that truth is, when you're doing a design, you need to be upfront. And I tell them I'm going to be upfront and transparent before I even meet them. So if you're looking for a guy to be a yes person on your backyard, I'm probably not the guy.
You're not the guy.
Not the guy.
I interviewed a couple of times Howard Behar, who was the former president of Starbucks. He was actually my very first guest on this podcast.
Wow.
And he wrote a book. It's not all, I think it's the name of the book. It's not all about the coffee. And one of the things he talks about, and he talked about it when I interviewed him, was he tells this story, and I may be getting some of it wrong, but the gist is there, that he had to lay a bunch of people off. And he had this list, and he misplaced the list, and somebody got their hands on it. And so he had an emergency meeting with all the leadership of like, what are we going to tell people? How are we going to quote unquote spin it? I'm using my own words a little bit. And his executive assistant at that meeting said, Howard, just tell him the truth. Only the truth sounds like the truth. And so he talked about how that was a really big moment for him. But it's true as you're talking, right? So people, whether they're ready or not, only the truth sounds like the truth.
True.
Yeah. So I like true, right? So I like that. You're in a business where nothing is cookie cutter. Everything is unique. Everybody wants something that's unique to them, fits their personality, alignment with who they are, what they're how creating their space, their freedom, their breath, etc. How do you keep on coming up with new ideas and new custom things? because you got to be, that requires a really creative mind.
I mean, you listen, you just listen to the clients, and you're also like the marriage counselor too, because the husband wants one thing, the wife wants another, so you're trying to like navigate, and the kids want another, so you're trying to navigate and keep everybody on the same level, right? And I tell them that up front, like, listen, I got very hard for me to pick sides, but I have to play both sides of the fence, the husband and the wife. The wife wants something, the husband has to pay for it. I have to kind of break the bad news to him.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you just listen to the clients. You try to, my job is to make them the hero of their project. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I am just a guide. Like, I am not I'm not going to come in there and say it needs to be this way, it needs to be that day. My job is to deliver something that you are going to love with your family and create memories. And through my experience and educational, I can guide you there. That's really all I do.
Yeah. So I want to talk about that, because I think you're a guide for people who are in front of you and behind you. But you started your business from the ground up, and you started your business from the ground up 40 years ago, when there wasn't the technology, there wasn't the ability to market yourself, there wasn't a lot of technology and things of that nature that we have today. So what were some of the key fundamentals you tapped into to just grow your business?
I mean, to this day, I still old school. Like, to this day, I still use pen and paper to draw.
Yeah.
But then I hand it off to the 3D renderers, and they do all the computer rendering stuff. I still bring my cans of spray paint to the job sites. You want orange or white, and I can spray paint out the pool. I mean, that's what I like. Yeah. I'm like a dying breed. I mean, that's it. And I have the advantage because I've actually done the work, right? Yeah. Not only I designed, I've done the work, so I know what works. And I think I have the big leg up on a lot of people today because they haven't done the work. Yeah. They haven't planted trees or bushes or patios or all that. So, and the gray hair, man, I've been doing it for forever. 40 years, long time.
It's a long time. Who was a mentor of yours along the way, Steve?
I remember when I got out of college from landscape school, I used to work he's passed away now. I worked for a very high-end pool company in Greenwich, Connecticut. And this guy was an Italian. And that's where I learned the people skills. He would work it. Like, he tell the truth. He would bring the homemade Italian wine, kiss the babies, the dog. And that's where you became part of the family. And that's where they really learn, like, and trust you. You know, you're not BSing, you're just being genuine about the project, right?
Yeah. I love it. All right, let's do a quick speed round. A book, a TED Talk, an article, something that's had a big impact on you.
Couple things. Being on Grant Cardone's show, Power Players. That was big. Yeah. And then since then, he's really blew up. So interesting guy. Love him or hate him, he's very successful. I remember we were down there with my sons, and he's like, you don't need to go to college. This is right before he went to college. But like, Bravo TV was good too. Like, I think all that is good, right? Yeah. The more you can get out there and expose yourself to be in front of people, you have to adapt to the times. I'm always learning. I barely figured out how to do an Instagram reel.
Yeah.
Like, it's so frustrating. These kids grew up with this stuff, and I'm Googling at night, Googling how to post a reel. I'm not kidding.
Yeah. All right. I can help you with that too. Best piece of wisdom you've ever received.
Say what you're going to do when you're going to do it, man. Just be, your word is your bond.
Yeah.
I don't need a contract. I really don't.
Yeah. I don't do contracts. I'm a business coach, and I work with successful people who are stuck. I get them unstuck. And I've never done a contract in almost 9 years, because I don't want people, even energetically, feeling like they have a contract. So I hear you. I don't do it.
It's not, like, if I'm doing a design for somebody and I ask for a design deposit, and I say, listen, anytime during this process you don't like it, just let me know. If we're not in sync, I will give you your money back. Yeah. I don't want to take your money if you don't like what I'm doing. Forget it.
Same. Amen. Finish this sentence. Last question, Steve. One thing that everybody can do to start doing what they say they're going to do when they say they're going to do it is?
That's a tongue twister, huh?
Yeah.
Just answer your phone.
Yeah.
Like just don't hide.
I really like that answer.
I
A lot
mean,
of people do not answer the phone anymore. Right.
I don't know. I can't even get my kids to answer the phone. I got a text, but answer your phone.
Yeah.
Call people back. Call people back. If you get a call lead, you call them back right away. Don't leave people hanging. Fill out a form. Just answer your phone.
I give everybody my cell phone. I run my calendar. I return every call same day. I couldn't agree with you more. That's, you talk old school, but that is a differentiator today. When you do that, it separates you from the pack. So
you're old school like me.
I'm
you're
old
school. You're old school. Yeah.
I return.
Old school's the only school, right?
It's the only school. Unless I'm sleeping, I return every call, text, email, same day. Yeah. Amen. Tell
don't
people
call me at night. Don't call me, after 8 o'clock. Like, I'm not answering your call. Like, I gotta shut it. And Sundays, I do try to Sundays. I'll keep the phone off.
Yeah.
I try to keep it off on Sunday. Yeah. Are you one of those guys that keeps it on 24/7?
I keep it on, but my clients don't take advantage. So
yeah, they're not calling you.
You know, me, I'm good with it. Yeah. So tell everybody who your ideal clients are, Steve, and how they can connect with you.
At SteveGriggsDesign.com is the website. At Steve Griggs Design is Instagram. What was that other thing you said?
Just who your ideal clients are.
The client that says, Steve, you've been doing this for so long. We trust you.
Yeah.
I'm going away for 2 weeks. When I come back, those are the best.
Yeah.
And sometimes, when they ask, when they're too involved, it's not good.
Yeah.
It really stifles the creativity. It really, we've all had bad clients, right? We all had bad clients, but those are the best clients. Let the guys do the job that you hired them to do.
Yeah. Amen. All right. Steve, I appreciate your time. This was great. Think community, I always like to extract one thing, which has been kind of a through line of this talk. In business phone calls, it's a big differentiator. You can grow your business by just doing those two things. So simple. They're so simple. It's complicated. Don't resist it and just dive in. Steve, this was great. If you guys want to get a hold of Steve, you can reach him at SteveGriggsDesign.com. You can reach me at JonDwoskin.com. Steve, stay on for a bit, but I appreciate it. This was a great talk, and I appreciate your time and your wisdom. Thanks for doing what you do.
Thanks, John. You're doing a great thing with the podcast.
Thanks, Steve.